The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it's Friday. Yes, Friday, a day early this week. More on that in a second, but of course it is the toy news of the week, all the action figure news that interested me, that hopefully interests you out there, and a lot of wrestling news this week, amongst other toy news, but a very wrestling-heavy toy news this week. Seems like every single brand that we talk about here on the channel had news this week, so I can't wait to dive into that, but we're coming to you one day early this week, yes, on Friday, or Thursday for you Patreon members. Special shout out to the Patreon, link in the description below, your best way to support the channel, as I always do say. But I've had quite the work week this week. I've been on the move in a lot of ways. I've been traveling all over the place. I've been all over the state, and then the next 6-7 weeks here, there's going to be a lot more of that. So I got to fit in videos where I can, maybe doing them a day early, stuff like that, getting ahead on some stuff, because like I said, I'm all over the place. And if you enjoy the figure hunts for the week, you're really going to enjoy the next 7 weeks or so, as I'm all over the entire Midwest. I'll even be down in Texas one week. So a lot of new stomping grounds are going to be hit. A lot of new things are going to be seen. Hopefully there's some new stuff on the pegs for me, but we'll find out here in the next few weeks. But hopefully you guys subscribe to the channel, check out the Friday figure hunts. But also this week, like I said, this is the news, and it is coming to you on Friday. A little change this week, a little change of pace. But all the other videos on the channel, and you guys know, like I said, Patreon, tons and tons of content over there. Patreon members, be careful this weekend, because I have so many videos I'm going to throw up in one way or the other onto the channel this week. So be on the lookout for those, and a big weekly purchases this week as well. So stay tuned for that as well this weekend. So a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of stuff going on in the news department. And I had to take up my old friend Rob Halford's advice this week.
Message from Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Step on the red, cross on the green, never take a ride in a stranger's machine, and always make sure you're burning on turbo power.
And Rob is exactly right with all the wrestling news this week. We got some familiar favorites, some strangers, and some troubling news as well, but let's dive into it. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff to cover this week, so let's dive in. And let's dive in with some hot news from Thursday as I'm filming this. The text messages started rolling in, the messages started rolling in, and of course there was the Elite Squad video out there announcing some things, but the one that caught a lot of us by surprise, I guess, was Legends Series 19. And talk about some more heavy hitters. Legends 18 has not hit stores yet. Of course, 17 hitting stores right now. It'll be interesting how soon 18 gets out there, and when is the pre-orders going up for Legends 18. So I guess stay tuned to the channel for that when that does come about. But Legends Series 19 was announced, and we're filling a lot of holes in more ways than one of things we've been missing in our collection. And first off, let's go with the Chase and the regular edition of D'Lo Brown, Old D'Lo as he's known in some circles. D'Lo Brown, one of my favorites from the Attitude Era, just quite the personality out there, of course, with the old bobblehead, a human bobblehead, some might say. But we're getting two versions, and of course, one of the versions is, the regular version, is the Nation of Domination gear. We've been needing that one, and to follow along with that, we're getting Kama Mustafa, one we've all wanted. We knew that was eventually going to come with all the different Godfather figures, Papa Shango, of course, Kama. Now we're getting Kama Mustafa. Put that with the Rock and the Farouk that we got back in the day. Gotta think I could see those coming down the line again. Maybe a greatest hits, maybe some changes, who knows. But we're getting the Nation of Domination finally on our shelves. Very cool to have these guys all together. It took a while, but we got there. And you guys know that follow my channel, I love completing teams, and that's what we're getting with the Nation of Domination. So two different versions of D'Lo. Choose your own D'Lo adventure, or get both of them. That's my recommendation. But then also Kama Mustafa is there. Undertaker is the heavy hitter in a lot of ways in this set. It's always cool to get Undertaker, I guess, especially for Undertaker fans, and he's kind of filling out that Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan role in this wave here. He is the true heavy hitter. It'll be interesting how well this Taker sells. Usually the Dead Man Taker goes pretty well, so I do think this will be okay. But Taker, for the most part, I think holds his own in the selling department, so he's probably the anchor of this wave. And then one coming out of left field a little bit. We all kind of assumed this might happen sooner or later, but it is officially announced. It is going to be in Legends Series 19. We are getting Brother Love, the Mattel edition. Of course, Jakks Classic Superstars did it way back in the day. A lot of people have that Jakks one in their collection kind of as a placeholder. It does work with a little bit of smoke and mirrors. A lot of people will be removing that from their collection adding this version of Brother Love. So very cool to get that. I'm all in on suited figures. I'm all in on these deep announcer, manager figures, whatever you want to call Brother Love. But he's got the Book of Love. He's got all the stuff we want to see with a Brother Love figure. Very, very cool to get him. And I guess, I was going to say you could pair him with Undertaker, but that really doesn't work with this incarnation of Undertaker. And I might put him on my Undertaker old school shelf up there, just as by Paul Bearer and things like that, because technically he had a thing or two to do, of course, back in the day with The Undertaker, as we all do know. But Legend Series 19, got to expect pre-orders after Series 18. I don't know. I have a feeling those two might be bunched up together, maybe coming around the same time. Have to imagine Series 18 at the latest will be there in April for the planogram refreshes. It's not a full-on reset, but there's a lot of new stuff coming in April. We'll see what happens with that. But Legend Series 19 on the horizon this week. And I should say it's Royal Rumble weekend. Hopefully everybody's excited about the Royal Rumble. It's always a favorite of mine. It's one of the only pay-per-views my daughters will watch with me. They enjoy the Rumble. I'm sure some of you guys have that same situation out there. We'll see who ends up pulling it out. Will maybe Sami Zayn win the Rumble? Will it be old friend of the channel, Cody Rhodes? Could he do it? We'll see. I'll have to hit up Cody and ask. Maybe he'll tell me. Who knows? But enjoy the Rumble if you are watching that. Elite Series 101, of course, as we always do say, whenever we get in-package glamour shots of things, it's right around the corner, and this time it came even sooner. I think Ringside Collectibles showed the in-package images, and later that afternoon, hey, now shipping. So as you're watching this on Friday, depending when you're watching this, I believe that is coming to my house on Saturday, I think is what my shipping says. So Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to have to knock out all those because I do leave all next week. I will be gone all next week out of state. So we'll get those knocked out right away. Should be a good time there on Elite 101. And this could be a sleeper set. A lot of really cool things, a lot of deep cut stuff here that I absolutely love. So look forward to Elite 101 on the channel, of course, early on Patreon as usual. But Johnny Knoxville is going to be in there. Kevin Owens, I only ordered one Kevin Owens. I think I'm going to get a second Kevin Owens. I think I need to display both versions. I need to display him as Austin, just like the Jax, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan way back in the day. And then I need a regular version of Kevin Owens on my display as well. Of course, Mr. America ×2. One of those chases that's not totally different. It's very, very close, but a very cool one. And technically, hardcore Hulkamaniacs or hardcore Mr. America fans, you probably need 4 of this Hulk Hogan with the different heads and the different ways you can do stuff. Heck, 5 or 6 if you count Min on box. So we'll see what happens with that. Sonya Deville, the female one here. It's time for an update for Sonya. This does work. Not sure how well this one's going to sell. Of course, Ricochet is coming back. Will he have his big jazz hands? We'll see if those are there. But a lot of people excited about a new Ricochet. And then Cody Rhodes, the America Nightmare, as he's known in some circles. But we're getting his first Elite figure. Have to think that will set the world on fire. Heck, his basic I have not even seen. That one's sold out pretty much everywhere. So I think there's a lot of want for Cody Rhodes figures, even though we got so many in the AEW lines. People are wanting Mattel Cody Rhodes, and it makes sense to me. So I'll definitely be having all these. Look forward to those reviews coming this week on the channel. Make sure you do subscribe. Logan Paul also showed off some images, some glamour shots of his Ultimate Edition. Apparently, he got a couple of samples for himself. Not sure when those are coming exactly. It's supposed to be around WrestleMania timeframe, I think. Maybe a little bit after that. Very cool packaging here. I'm just not the biggest Logan Paul guy. I think he's generations before me, so maybe I don't get the hype with that. But I'm sure younger fans, things like that, maybe are wanting this. And, of course, the Logan Paul Army. I guess he's a YouTuber, I've been told. He's probably got a lot of fans that would pick that one up. So more power to him. I'm glad it's not at a retail spot because I just don't think that would work. But what they did here I think was smart. Make the money, as we always say. Follow the money. It's about the money. Mattel's not a nonprofit. They're doing this kind of stuff to make money. And I think they will do that with Logan Paul. As we do know, they had pretty good amount of orders from all intents and purposes of what we've heard there. And then we also saw this week, too, Wave 2 of the Coliseum collection. Of course, Rick Rude, Jake the Snake Roberts Ultimates, throwback LJN style. Those are going up for pre-order on March 1st. 2023, that is the year we're in right now. Pre-order goes up there, and I would assume shipping shortly after. Just like the Mattel Retros, you order about a week, 2 weeks later, you should have those in hand. I think that'll be the same for those. So mark that on your calendar if you need Jake and Rick Rude. It'll be interesting how well those do, because those guys are heavy hitters, but they're not quite Hulk Hogan, Terry Funk heavy hitters, that's for sure. Terry Funk representing today on the t-shirt. But I'm all in on those. Going to have to get 2 sets of the Wave 2 Coliseum collection. And then this week we heard a few leaked lists. And who knows, these haven't been officially confirmed by Mattel. We usually don't talk about a lot of leaked stuff, but going to run through it real quick. We'll see. Take it with a grain of salt, but I do anticipate these to come. But Elite Series 103, we got Bobby Lashley. We got Roman Reigns. 2 guys, no stranger to the Elite line. We got Liv Morgan. Have to prepare ourselves for a lot more Liv Morgans in the future. She's been all over TV, especially in 2022. That's going to resonate into 2023 action figure department, so be prepared for that. Street Profits returning to the Elite line. I think overdue there. We've had some basics, of course. We've had a set of Elites, but it's time for some more. They are a very popular team. That makes a lot of sense. And then the sleeper one, the surprise here is, of course, Stardust. Cody Rhodes' former gimmick. I have no issues with this, and it makes sense to me. They have the tooling for all that. We got to think, a lot of these Codys we've had, they've used some of the old molds, some of the old head scans, things like that for Cody. They're probably doing the same thing with Stardust. Get the money you can. There's so many new collectors that missed out on Stardust back in the day. It really does make a lot of sense. You'll get pinless joints, you'll get all that kind of stuff. Who knows, maybe you'll get a crazy paint job, or maybe you'll get a rehash of one we had in the past. I guess we'll see in fairly soon. Maybe WrestleMania season we might see protos of that, maybe even sooner. But Stardust coming, that should make some people excited. Then we got Basic 139. Guess we're getting closer and closer to Basic 150. And then Basic 200 will be right around the corner from that. But Basic 139, Hulk Hogan, you got to have the Hulkster out there. That'll be what, our 2nd or 3rd Hulkster so far this year. So we're well on our way to another 10 Hogans this year. We'll see what happens with that. Liv Morgan, just talked about it. Liv back in the saddle again, like a young Aerosmith. She's coming out. And then we got Matt Riddle. He's back in the Basic line. He's had showdowns. He's had a lot of stuff. I'll be picking that one up. John Cena, no stranger to a figure ever since he has started wrestling way back in the day, like 25 years ago, whatever it's been, 20 years ago. Then you got Pat McAfee. Now, everybody's been saying, hey, where is that? Because I think we were shown that at maybe WrestleMania like a year ago was that Basic shown off. And very interesting that we got him here. I do think he's a sleeper. I could see him being in the Royal Rumble this year. That makes a lot of sense to me. But that's going to be one a lot of people will probably want as well. Kind of like a Logan Paul situation in some circles, because there's a lot of people that don't follow wrestling that follow him that would buy that just for their, desk or something like that. So I can see that selling pretty good. So Basic 139 right around the corner. We also saw some pretty glamour shots, and once again, once you see the glamour shots, that means they are right around the corner from hitting retail. And we saw the new Ultimate Edition, Razor Ramon, AJ Styles. Man, that AJ looks next level. I'm all in on that one. Verdict's still out on the windswept hair one. I didn't really like it with Edge. Didn't really like it with Roman. We'll see how this AJ one goes. It is cool for what it is. It's cool for figure photographers, but it hasn't resonated for me in my collection. I haven't displayed any of those heads that way. Maybe you're different. Just one man's opinion there. But we do have AJ coming. We saw the Razor Ramon, of course, Ultimate. He does have a regular and Chase edition, as we've talked about here on the channel. Not a big fan of that in the Ultimate line, but it is pretty cool, I guess, for this. Giving some longtime fans a chance to get a very iconic Razor that maybe they missed out in the defining moments, to get an updated version of that. That makes sense. And then giving longtime collectors like myself, obviously I'm buying both, but a new version of Razor, if you want to call it that one. They're technically both new, but you know what I mean. So Razor fans going to rejoice on that one. And then we did see Bret the Hitman Hart. Looks absolutely fabulous. One of my favorite figures, of course, from the Mattel years of collecting is that pink ringside exclusive Bret Hitman Hart. Now we're getting that in the Ultimate line, so I'm here for that. I'm okay. I don't like the re-releases of Elite so much, but when they make an Elite Ultimate, I have no issues with that. I don't really have issues either way, but I'd prefer that over just a straight Elite release. That's just me, one man's opinion once again. But that Bret should be coming, I'm guessing probably April timeframe with that Target refresh. They still got to get rid of all those Macho Mans. They got a lot of Brocks. They got a lot of Warriors right now. We'll just have to move some things through the shelves, because not every place has got Macho yet, which is kind of weird. I'm seeing a lot more Machos trickle in right now. That's distribution for you, though, I guess. But we will see Bret, and I think that will be a very, very popular one. Now we turn our attention to old Zombie Sailor Toys, and Zombie Sneak Attack this week. Sneak Attack, he did announce, or, put out the little image here, and we show it up here, of course, over here. But he is, of course, coming out with a Brian Pillman Heels and Faces, but Mattel Jazzware scale. Of course, we knew he was coming out with Jeff Jarrett a while back, Now he's got Brian Pillman. I guess street gear Brian Pillman. He's wearing the old fancy shirt that I always love to wear time to time on the channel. Pillman, a guy that's severely lacking in figures. He's had a few, but for what he did and who he was, I'm actually shocked we haven't got more figures of him. So we got a Brian Pillman coming. I'm all in on this zombie stuff. I'm great with the quality of the retros. We should have Danhausen next week on the channel as well. Look out for that. I just hope the stuff kind of goes a little faster. Nobody wants to wait a year and a half like we had to for Danhausen for Brian Pillman or Jeff Jarrett. I hope the process is being sped up. I'm not going to hold my breath, I guess is what we'll say. But very, very cool. Always cool when more players are in the fold. More competition makes everybody better, but we also know with more competition, people get edged out, people get moved out, and people go out of business. That's what happens. So we'll see. We'll keep a close eye on it here on the channel and all the toy news of the week. But then a big one this week, Power Town. Oh, yes. I've been a little uneasy about Power Town, as I've said. I was hoping they would hit Q1. It sounds like they are going to hit Q1, kind of, but it sounds like Vern Gagne, Bruiser Brody, and Stan Hansen are going to ship first, and then the rest will ship at a later date. So it looks like we'll at least get some in Q1. And the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast talked about it on their podcast this week. Check that out if you are into that kind of thing. But they also got hand-delivered samples from Steve and the Power Town crew. Pretty cool there. So they got samples of those guys. They got to go through them. And they did show some pictures on their social media. Check out their social media pages for some of the pictures. They even put some scaling pictures up there. And to me, these really look a lot like the Jazzwares figures. I know some people said they look like Jack's Ruthless Aggression style. I don't get that at all. I don't even get Mattel from this, and the scaling seems to be a little bit all over the place, and just like the placement of the knees is different than what we're more accustomed to, just from those pictures at least. And as I always say, I'm not going to give final verdict till it gets here at this table and we go there. But you know, as Jerry Reed always says, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. He's exactly right. So we still got a long ways to go before these do reach the table right here, but I'm excited for them. But the major squad over there, the major players, the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast said a lot of issues with breakage at the legs. Nobody wants a $45, $50 figure breaking outside of the package. We're going to have an Omega Spawn meltdown here on the table if that happens. Most recently, that Mondo He-Man unbox that had a lot of breakage problems. I was so scared unboxing that. I think that's a look into my future with these Power Towns. Hopefully, they're going to get this fixed. They said they will, and apparently Steve from Power Town will be on next week's Major Wrestling Figure Podcast to talk about this, clear it up, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be one I'm going to have my ears all perked up for while I'm on the road next week. I'm going to have to see what happens, and I don't know if they're going to say, hey, if yours break, contact us, we'll replace it, hopefully. That's what they need to do, because I don't care what we're talking about. If we're talking wrestling figures, we're talking a new line of chainsaws, whatever it may be. If your first time out of the gate you have quality issues, breakage, how many consumers, especially in this day and age, are going to follow up for round two? Put your business hat on. A lot of people are going to say, nope, mine broke. I'm done with that line forever. Not going to happen. That's what happens. And then some of the prototypes looking a little bit different. I've been saying that for a long time as well. We're seeing a lot of renders. You're seeing renders put into packaging. We don't see the actual product. Well, now we're seeing the actual product. And we're seeing things like Bruiser Brody, where he did have deep scars in his head. Now it looks like it's painted on red. I'll talk about that. I got a lot of opinions on Bruiser Brody's forehead. I got a lot of opinions, and we'll talk about those when we do get those on the channel here. But very, very interesting. A little bit concerning, to be honest. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully we'll have those figures sooner than later, and I'll give you all the details on the review when we do get to them, so stay tuned for that. Hastel Toys, man, he keeps coming out with a lot of stuff, showing us things, showing us pictures. Well, this week he did show off at the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast show down in Florida. He showed some hand prototypes of Ahmed Johnson. So a lot of people excited about Ahmed Johnson. Of course, another guy that had a pretty big run for a short window. Surprising we don't have more action figures from. And it looks like Hastel's giving us a retro style one. But he also announced this week the Wild Man Mark Marrow coming to the retro line. I don't know if anybody was really looking for it, but it is definitely different. And you got to appreciate the hustle, getting us some of these characters we haven't got lines of any toys for. So I got to give props where props are due. Hopefully finished product works really good. But Wild Man Mark Marrow. And then on Thursday, he did announce the Godwins. It sounds like the Godwins are coming as well. So we're getting the Attitude Era. Some of those ones, it's like the Bone Crunchers are coming back again is what it kind of feels like. But man, I'm here for it. Hopefully they are good figures. As I said, I got the old Smoke Train Godfather. I got him on pre-order. So I'm going to see how that one is, and I will go from that point there. can't collect it all. It's getting to a point where you got to really cut out and say, okay, where am I going to pick and choose? And I know I buy a lot more than the average Joe out there. I understand that. But I'm definitely going to have to be picking and choosing on some of this stuff. There's only so many funds. There's only so many funds. We all know how that goes. I also saw KWK Collectibles this week. Of course, we've talked about them. They're the ones having the Haystacks Calhoun coming out. But they also have a Kamala figure, as we do know. We've talked about it. Well, we got renders, prototype images. I mean, to me, it looks like somebody took a picture of Kamala. So I don't know if this tells us a whole lot. We are going to get removable necklace. You're going to get the spear, the shield, the moon belly on Kamala. I mean, it looks good what they showed, but how is it actually going to be in hand? That is the litmus test, as some may say. But that is coming up. I don't think they've announced pre-orders as of this time for that one. Rush Collectibles, they showed off so much stuff. Like I said, it's a big wrestling week. They showed off images of Bill Alfonso in the ECW style Ringmaster line, of course, like the OSFTM ECW figures from back in the day. This is a line I'm really, really excited for. I just hope things get moving a little bit faster. We need some of these ECW guys, and I'm really excited about this. I'm actually probably more excited for this line than some of the retro lines because it just feels different. But once again, we've seen images. We haven't seen any prototypes. We haven't seen any images of the actual figures. Hopefully they live up to the hype, and hopefully they look like they're brothers from yesteryear and they fit right in. That would be the key right there. So that's coming from Rush Collectibles as well. Stay tuned to that stuff. Who knows when pre-orders are going to go up for a lot of these. Of course, we'll talk about it in weekly purchases. I'll talk about it in social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. Stay tuned to all that kind of stuff. And then the last little bit of wrestling news this week. Like I said, a big week. Last bit of wrestling news this week. We've got AEW coming in with another announcement and most likely another repaint with maybe a different shirt, maybe something like that. We'll see. But MJF is getting a Walmart exclusive figure coming sometime in 2023. I'm guessing maybe April, May. Not sure. Where's the Wardlow exclusive? I think that's supposed to be here fairly soon. But we are getting another MJF figure. I don't know if there's a lot of people looking for that. However, he is the champion right now. Maybe he'll come with a title belt. Could be his first one with a title belt. Who knows? But he did do a little video kind of, you know, making fun of everybody like he usually does. But another MJF figure, if you were so inclined to purchase, coming to Walmart very, very soon. So that is the wrestling news. Like I said, a lot going on for this Royal Rumble weekend in the wrestling department. But there was other news this week. Believe it or not, there's other toy lines besides wrestling. We did see Star Wars February 1st, a live stream coming. What does it all mean? 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi? I hope that's what it means. I'm worried that they're going to say, hey, we're announcing the new Bad Batch line. Same figures you had before, but new paint jobs with the new season. I hope that's not the case, but I'm hoping 40th anniversary we get some more Return of the Jedi stuff. Let's get some deep Jabba's Palace aliens. Let's get some crazy stuff. There's a lot of those deluxe guys that would work out really good, like Elephant Mon, or however you pronounce it, but he looks like a big elephant guy. Give us a deluxe version of him. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for really good stuff from Star Wars. As we keep saying here on the channel, Star Wars needs a home run. They need something. Hopefully they can deliver on February 1st. Stay tuned for that one. We also saw Marvel Legends coming in with a few announcements this week. After last week getting taken to task by not just me, but a lot of people for that Spider-Man pricing, we did get some announcements this week, as they did announce coming soon to pre-order. Not sure where, maybe just Hasbro Pulse, we'll find out later. But a 2-pack of Squadron Supreme with Dr. Spectrum. I am not familiar with at all. I do not know him at all. And then Hyperion. Now, Hyperion is one of the few Marvel Legends I do not have in my collection. For whatever reason, I got the rest of the pack he came with. I did not get him. He cost a lot of money, so I haven't pulled the trigger. Been trying to find a deal over the last few years. Just haven't pulled the trigger. Well, now I get one. However, knife in the heart, it looks like they're using old body molds, like the Bucky Cap mold. Once again, I hate saying Bucky Cap mold. It just sounds weird to me, but I said it. There it is. Why couldn't they use the Vulcan body for this one? It would be perfect for him. And then we do get a different head there with kind of the glowing eyes. Not terrible, but I want a regular head as well, so maybe we'll get 2 heads. I don't think so, but we are getting that. And like I said, Dr. Spectrum, I am not familiar with at all. So we'll see on that one. I just wish we would have had an updated figure. It almost reminds me of the Terrax 2-pack, where we just basically got Terrax re-released with just a few little tweaks. Kind of have that going on here, which they really could have done it right. Give us the Vulcan body. But you got to get the most out of your molds, and I think that's what they're thinking. And we got some more Hasbro stuff to talk about that's a little bit depressing at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. We also saw Target Yondu, of course, from Guardians of the Galaxy, easy for me to think of. Guardians of the Galaxy, but we're getting the classic version from the comics, of course. Star-Lord is coming from Walmart, so it makes sense. Are we going to get old school comic Guardians this year as kind of exclusives to different stores? Very cool way to build out a classic team. I'm here for that, but I also want the Starjammers. Don't forget about all the Starjammers. You guys know that as well. But it sounds like that's going to be a Target exclusive, so stay tuned for that very, very soon, sooner than later. How about Funkos? We don't talk a lot of Funkos, but this week they announced Bitty Pops. Yes, Bitty Pops, Funko Pops, but much smaller version mini Funkos. Mini brands are all the rage. My daughters like some of those mini brands. A lot of kids do. Even adult collectors do because they use them for toy photography, things like that. So now your Pops or your other figures can have a mini Pop for your figure photography. So that should be interesting. I'm not sure that's going to be for me, but we'll see what happens with that line. But I know a lot of collectors like that kind of stuff, so I wanted to call that out this week. We also saw the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2-pack, and I think maybe I'd have to just revisit it, but boy, the deepest of deep cuts here. Even for me, you guys know, I know a lot about my Turtles, especially the cartoon, enough to be dangerous, but it's been a long time. I can't even remember these characters, but Chakahachi, hopefully I said his name right. I'd hate to offend the guy, of course. And then Lotus 2-pack. So it sounds like those are starting to hit targets right now. I think this glamour shot here came from the West Coast somewhere. So I guess be on the lookout at your Targets. Target's interesting with NECA right now. I overheard a couple of Target employees talking about NECA and really throwing them under the bus at store level. They had 6 of those huge boxes on one of those big U-boat carts, and they said there's 10 more boxes in the back. The NECA person never comes. Now that's going to vary by store, but it sounds like from what they were saying, and I sat there and eavesdropped. I put up the old glass bottle and listened in like that. Not quite, but I stood in the aisle and listened in. But they said that they keep getting shipped all this NECA stuff. It's not selling. And the store I was at has 2 huge sections of NECA because they're so overstocked with NECA figures that they're going to call somebody and say, turn off the NECA. We have too much stuff. So I don't know. They're overproducing some stuff over there at NECA, it sounds like there. But be on the lookout for some new Turtles. I'm all here for more Turtles for my display, as you guys know. Starting lineups. How about starting lineups? We talked about them. We did a video here with my dad, the big-time starting lineup collector back in the day, and we broke down our thoughts on the modern-day starting lineups. Now, we never ordered any of these. We just never pulled the trigger. My dad's out of the lineup game. I'm not really interested in anything but classic, but Hasbro did announce on Thursday, Hasbro Pulse, $29.99 for these starting lineup figures, dropping the price almost in half. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, these are not coming with the NFT. So I guess that's how they're saying the value. There's no NFTs with these. But for somebody like me and probably a lot of you, I don't care about NFTs. I'd just rather have a cheaper figure. $29.99 for an online exclusive feels a little bit more palatable, at least to me, especially when you're dealing with real human beings, I guess, that you have to pay different things to, and you got to pay Nike and all that. That does make a lot more sense. I think I might pick up one of these. I'm just not sure who I'm going to pick up. And I don't know any of these guys besides Stephen Curry and LeBron. The rest I don't know. My dad knew them, of course. Do I pick up LeBron, the safe bet, because he's probably the most popular? Makes a lot of sense, but I'm not a Laker fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. And I already forgot the guy from the Celtics. But the Celtics, of course, being my team with Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, all the great ones. Dennis Johnson, old DJ. We remember the old days of the Celtics. Give me those Celtics. That's what I need. But I'm thinking about picking up the Celtics player just for Celtics. I'll probably just give it to my dad. Say, hey, Dad, I'm buying this. Let's review it. I'll gift it to you. You can put it in your collection. Another Celtic there. But I might do that, and I might have my dad come over, and we could review a new school starting lineup, talk about the differences, all that kind of stuff. Could be a fun video for my dad and I to do, of course. So starting lineups, if you're in, go get them now. $29.99. Got to get a deal, folks. Got to get a deal. Final bit of news this week, and we're going to end on a depressing note. And I'm sure there's people in the comments here, and there's probably comments all over social media saying, ha ha, that's what you get, that's what you get. But anytime job loss and job cuts come, man, that's never a good day at the office. Believe you me, I've been a part of a lot of restructures in my company and work life, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. I've always been unfortunate that I've been kind of the younger guy in all this stuff. But there comes a day where everybody's spot gets punched, their clock gets punched, you become a little older, and they say, you know what, Kyle, he's got a high salary, he's got a lot of PTO day, which he never uses, he's got a lot of healthcare stuff, who knows, but you're older, it's time to move on, we get somebody a lot cheaper. That's just the way I've seen it in life. Your mileage may vary, but Hasbro did announce this week cutting 15% of the workforce. Ouch. No, I didn't see any definitions of it's going to be warehouse people or anything like that. Who knows who's going to be a part of that? Will it be any of the people that we see on the live streams? I don't think so, but I guess I don't know either. But they just said, hey, the profits aren't there. And news flash out there for a lot of you guys in the business world, dollar sales are up pretty much across the board, I think, on a lot of categories out there. Dollars are flowing in because of all the price increases. So when you look at year over year, tons of people are ranking in the money. The problem is your unit growth is not growing, and that is not good. And without units going through, you're going to start seeing some job cuts, things like that. And a lot of industries are going through that right now. Unfortunately, it is a sign of the times a little bit. Maybe some of the recession people keeps talking about. I try not to talk too much about that kind of stuff because it's really boring at the end of the day, I think, for most of us. But Hasbro cutting 15% of their jobs. I think they said something like 1,500 jobs out of that one. So it is a tough time. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully Hasbro can turn the ship around. Like I said last week, I took them to task pretty hard about that Spider-Man thing. Some of the decisions they're making are absolutely ridiculous. Star Wars is really struggling. It sounds like their board games are really struggling, which makes a lot of sense because board games were super hot. They've always been hot, but they were super hot during COVID when people were stuck at home. Now people are out and about again. They're not playing Parcheesi like they used to, apparently. But that's just the way things go. But we'll see what comes with that. Will Mattel, NECA, Super 7, some of these other ones start doing layoffs as well? I mean, we hope not. We don't want anybody, it's fun at the end of the day, action figures. We don't want people losing their job, losing their livelihood. If you had to look yourself in the mirror, you wouldn't want that happening to you. So very, very interesting times, a little bit dangerous times out there. But Hasbro did announce that on Thursday as well. So that is the news this week. A busy, busy week, as I did say. A lot going on. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few things. Of course, Friday, a whole nother day. So I guess if there's anything Friday, I'll talk about it on social media if it's really important. If not, it'll go over to next week's Toy News of the Week, which should be back on the traditional Saturday. We'll see. But like I said, I'll be all over the place the next few weeks. So there could be some changes in some video patterns. But you know me, I'm dedicated. I don't mess around. We've been doing 3 videos a day and then some for quite some time. And you guys know me. I never miss a deadline. We'll just call it that. So that's the Toy News of the Week. Any thoughts from you guys out there? What are your thoughts on all this news? A lot of wrestling news, as I did say. A lot going on for sure. But let me know your thoughts on those. And of course, you made it this far. Give it the old thumbs up. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. And don't forget about the Patreon. Your best way to support the channel and all the videos on here. Very cool things over there. Of course, you guys know Q&As. I did a Q&A this week from my hotel room. Check out that video if you're a Patreon member. It's like a fireside chat with Kyle is what that's like. So an interesting one. February will probably be another hotel one. I might wear a Western shirt, a cowboy hat, and do it from Texas. We'll see. That might happen down there as well. So we'll see what happens with that one. But check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. Appreciate all you guys that are a part of that, of course. Don't forget to follow along on social media. SirPaul64 is where you're going to find me on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the Toy News of the Week, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.